We are back with the 608 Chatterbox. We are back again. This time I'm co-hosting with Dylan, and today's guests are two, how should I reference you guys? Missionaries, Bosch, and we have Jim. I think 2 episodes ago we referred to him as Jimbo.
Yep.
So just want to point that out.
Yep.
You guys want to introduce yourselves?
Yeah, we love to introduce ourselves. So, my name's Braxton Bosch, but I go by Elder Bosch as a missionary. Elder is just the title we are given when we are set apart as missionaries. And this is my buddy.
Yeah, my name's Jim Miller. I go by Elder Miller right now. So, been living it up in Wisconsin as missionaries for a little while.
Awesome.
Also known as Jimbo.
So I guess we'll just just dive right in. You want me to ask my first question?
Kind of just want to switch off every other, and we'll.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. You got
So, you guys just mentioned that you guys are missionaries. Do you guys want to explain what missionaries are?
Do you want to take this one, or do you want me to?
For sure, I can take this. So missionaries, as a missionary, for the Church of Jesus Christ, what we do is when we turn around the age of 18, we can save up and we can put in our own money to come out on a mission. What it is it goes to our prophet, and our current prophet is Russell M. Nelson, and they pray about it and they seek for guidance from God on where to send us, and they'll send us all over the world. And so, like, I got friends in Japan, I got friends in Texas, and we're here in Wisconsin. And as missionaries, what we do is we go around and we help teach people about Jesus Christ because we know about the joy that he can bring into our lives.
Yeah.
Okay. You want to ask the
So
next
then, before I even ask my question, I just want to verify this. You guys are both from Utah, right? Or
Yeah, I'm from Salt Lake City, Utah. So I actually live 15 minutes outside of there in a suburb called Sandy.
okay.
Yeah, I'm from the Provo area, so only about 45 minutes away from Salt Lake.
Because yeah, looking it up, I did also see that was like the most common state.
Yeah.
But I'll get to my actual first question, and it was, at what age did you realize that your religion was the one for you guys? Like, when did you realize that this is what you wanted to follow?
Yeah. So in our church, we believe in baptism, and I was baptized at 8 years old. That's what we believe is the age of accountability for baptism. So we don't baptize any infants or anything like that.
Yep.
But we believe that conversion or being converted to something is a lifelong process. And so for a majority of my life, like my kid life, I just kind of followed it because that's what I understood and was taught. And then when I hit my freshman to junior year, I kind of went on a different path, and I started choosing things that I wasn't really should have. I was kind of doing what I wanted. And then COVID hit towards the end of my junior year, and I started really studying the gospel, really praying and asking if this was true, and that's when I started to know that this was the true church, and this when I knew that I wanted to follow this path and I wanted to go on a mission and become a missionary, and so I just went and ran with it.
So you'd say this is relatively like recent for you then in your case, right?
Yeah, it's been relatively recent. That was 3 years ago when I had those sacred experiences.
Wow.
Not secret, but sacred. And yeah, it's been pretty recent, but that's just kind of how I felt. But I always had it back in my mind that I wanted to go on a mission.
Yeah, I gotta say kind of similar. One thing that kind of happens a lot to everyone, doesn't matter where you're coming from, what your background is you eventually hit that time in your life where you almost don't want to believe what your parents believe, to kind of act rebellious. And also sometimes you just get to that point where you don't care. And that was kind of similar for me. You know, I grew up, my parents have always been members. And so I started going to it. And through elementary I went because my parents wanted me to. Through junior high I went because I felt like I had to. But once I got to high school, I started wondering for more. I wanted to know if, like, Jesus Christ truly is there for me. I wasn't doing anything crazy. I just wasn't really trying to continue to grow my faith. And so I started to pray a lot to ask, if it's true, to know if I want to actually, how to come closer to Jesus Christ personally. And that's kind of when I became and realized that about my senior year of high school is when I truly was like, this is the true church, and I know that this can bless many, many lives. And so that's why I chose to serve a mission.
I like that.
Yeah, that's a very good answer. Well, I guess my next question is, was there ever a moment that either of you kind of, I wouldn't say doubted, but like, because it sounds like both of you kind of like were directed in this path from a young age. Was there ever a moment in you guys' lives coming towards adulthood that you guys wanted to go on your own path?
Yeah. I would say it really was that just like my freshman junior year, I was like, you know what, I don't think this is real. I didn't think God was real. I didn't think, Jesus Christ was real. I didn't think anything was real. I'm a very logical thinker. I love thinking with my head, but not everything can be explained away with your head, right? And so it really came down to me having to really set aside what I thought was true and trying to think it through my head and start relying on spiritual experiences, what I know like to be true. So that's kind of my experience. It really came down to getting over the hump of being a logical thinker and start seeing with spiritual eyes.
Yeah, so, I mean, my path was more of like, I kind of just wanted to kind of do my own thing. I didn't see why I'd want to assume a couple extra responsibilities by going to church and stuff, because I didn't see a point in it. I didn't find the importance, I guess is what I could say. At that point in time, I didn't realize the peace that can come from Jesus Christ. And so, yeah, I definitely thought about doing my own thing for a long time. But like I said, it talks about a lot in the Bible and in the Book of Mormon, just how when God listens to our prayers and God will answer them. And so I gave it a try.
Awesome.
So I'm gonna give you guys kind of an opportunity to speak on, the book and a bit of your faith. Last time we were hooping, and I think one time before that, we discussed a 14-year-old, I believe, Joseph Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Correct me if I'm wrong. That's right.
No, that's
Okay.
right.
So, do you guys want to explain his story a little for the podcast?
Yeah, I can do that for us. So, our church kind of revolves around Jesus Christ, like he's our central main point. But there's another really important figure in our church, and his name is Joseph Smith. And like Dylan said, he was 14 years old, and just like at the time, it was the year 1820, and there was big religious excitement around the world, and what we call like the Second Great Awakening to history. And he said he saw all these churches, and they were arguing, they were bickering, like a lot of people do nowadays. And he's like, okay, what church is true? And it was a question of the soul. And his parents were going to different churches, so there was a lot of things that led up to this question. And so he turned toward the Bible, and he reads in James chapter 1, verse 5, if any of ye lack wisdom, let him ask of God. And so that's what he does. He goes and he asks of God in prayer. So he goes to this little wooded area, which we call a grove of trees, and he knelt down and he said a prayer. And in this prayer, as he's saying it, he says he's overcome by this really dark feeling. And in this really dark feeling, he talks about how inappropriate images pop into his mind and everything. And he says he can only describe it as power from the other side. And we know that power to be Satan. But I'll have Elder Miller explain kind of what happens after that.
Yeah, while this was all going on, of course, like I said a little bit earlier, God answers all prayers, even though it's in God's time. But this experience that happens right now was really quite cool. And the way he explains it in his own words is better than I can explain it. But he says, I saw a pillar of light exactly over my head, above the brightness of the sun, which descended gradually until it fell upon me. When the light rested upon me, I saw two personages, whose brightness and glory defy all description, standing above me in the air. One of them spake unto me, calling me by name, and said, pointing to the other, This is my beloved Son, hear him. And what happened, to sum it up super short, is Jesus Christ and God the Father showed themselves unto this boy Joseph Smith. And Jesus Christ was, of course, the beloved Son. And he told Joseph Smith, at this time none of the churches were true, that they all drew close to him with their lips, but their hearts were far from him. And that in due time, that he would eventually use Joseph Smith to restore his church back on the earth today. so that we can experience all that joy.
Yeah, and so this is like what kind of brings about a little bit difference from a lot of other churches is a lot of other churches, they believe that there was kind of no falling away, or they believe there was a very small falling away. We believe that there was a big falling away from what Christ taught. That doesn't mean that other churches don't have truth. We believe that they have truth. That's a lot of misconception is we believe that our church is the only, like, the reservoir for all truth. We believe every church has some truth. We just believe we have a fullness of it.
Okay. So I guess to bounce off of that statement that you guys believe that your church has a big portion of the truth, what would you guys say to somebody, for example, from either the Catholic Church, the Lutheran Church, or et cetera, that says they have the truth?
Yeah. So, I mean, the first thing first is, like, all these churches believe in Jesus Christ. Any church that believes that Jesus Christ was either a prophet or the Son of God, we say that's truth because we believe that too. Another thing is we, as a church, the church is very big into partnering with, especially the Catholic Church, but all churches, in doing humanitarian aid, charitable acts, and that's one of the things we would say is true too. And the other thing is all these churches read the Bible. That's another thing we would say is true. There's a lot of this truth that we kind of connect on. We kind of call them our Christian cousins almost. That was kind of used in our used before, and I really like that statement. But what about you, Elder Miller?
No, I think all the things that Elder Bosch just said are perfect. Like, yeah, we believe that if you believe in Jesus Christ, I mean, that's awesome. It really is. You know, we all believe in the same Jesus Christ. And the Bible, it definitely helps us come closer to Christ. One thing is, of course, I'd like to introduce them to the Book of Mormon, and it's because the Book of Mormon is another testament of Jesus Christ, and it by no means replaces the Bible. There's a lot of misconception with that we only read from the Book of Mormon, but that's not true. We read from both. And of course, I'd want them to read that so that they can learn more about Jesus Christ and continue to grow their faith in Him.
Yeah.
I actually like that a lot. So as far as, like, the way we met with you guys introducing us, like, to the Book of Mormon, showing us some of that after we played basketball, it was you and Hawker, actually, if Bosch wasn't with, but
Shout out Hawker.
yes, shout out Hawker. But as far as doing that, how often or have you been able to, like, convert or just teach people in your mission as part of the Church of Jesus Christ, about Mormonism, and kind of, I guess, like, yeah, have you been able to, like, bring someone to that, and, like, how do you go about that as far as introducing it and getting someone involved?
Yeah, that's awesome. I can start us off, and then I'll have Elder Miller go. So kind of we have, like, a purpose as missionaries that we kind of try to live by, and our purpose is to invite others to come under Christ by helping them receive the restored gospel through faith in Jesus Christ and His atonement, repentance, baptism, receiving the gift of the Holy Ghost, and enduring to the end. And so how we go about that, like, yeah, I've been able to help people. On my mission, so far I've helped 16 people enter the waters of baptism.
Wow.
Which, it doesn't matter about the number of people to me. It matters about the stories and the souls that are there. Because out of all the people that I've baptized, like, it doesn't matter if they're, that they're not a number, they're not a statistic to me, but they're more of my friends, my family almost. Yeah. I would say my family, honestly. And we kind of go about that by befriending them, teaching them principles, but also, getting to know them, because ultimately we believe in that we're all part of God's family. Yeah. So how I go about it is I'm very vulnerable. I'm honest and open and honest, and I try to be. And I just tell them what I believe, and whether somebody accepts that or not is up to them, and I'm not going to judge them whether they don't or do.
Yeah, no, same here. It's like there's no judgment whether you believe it or not. It really just comes down to, we're out here because we love the Lord. We love the people. The second great commandment is love thy neighbor, and so we're really trying to help everyone realize just how much we care for them, how much we want to help them. And so far for me on my mission, I've definitely had a lot of opportunities too to go and share with people. You know, I talked with Dylan and Hugo, you guys, at one night, and I came out there because I really wanted to share with you guys about the Book of Mormon and stuff. And yeah, so it's been really cool. There's lots of opportunities.
Yeah.
Before we move to your question, I want to bring up one thing that Bosch said, I believe 1 or 2 Saturdays ago. At the very end, you know, we did a little prayer after hooping or whatever, and he said, trying to remember this exactly. It was like I can tell you, or like try to convert all you want, but it's like up to you to do that. So like when you talk about how like the 16 baptisms and like everyone who's doing this or whatever, so like with that quote, is it like they come to you prior to the introduction, or is it like, have you seen people that you believe are in need of Jesus Christ, and then you kind of like, not even like, you know, like pushy, but like, you know, you kind of reach out a little more and you try to, like, specifically in your personal experience?
Yeah, I've done both. So I've had people just randomly reach out to me and they're like, hey, I want to be baptized. I want to come closer to Jesus Christ. I've also had to reach out to people, uplift them. I'll talk about just one experience to share a quick story. I won't use any names because of, you know, confidentiality.
Of course.
But there was this family that I found when I was living in Germfast, Michigan, which is up in the Upper Peninsula in the like center of it, and Upper Peninsula of Michigan, I should specify.
Yeah.
But when I was there was this lady. She was going through a really rough time, but I didn't even know that. But I just had a prompting to shoot her a message on Facebook. I shot her a message and I'm like, hey, how are you doing? She's like, I'm not doing too well. And then she kind of went into what was going on in her life. And I said, well, I know that God can help you and Jesus Christ is there for you. And could I share a quick message about Jesus Christ? And I ended up giving her a call and we ended up talking and she ended up being super grateful. And long story short, we ended up having a lot of spiritual experiences. She had a lot of spiritual experiences and we ended up helping her and her daughter and her son get baptized. And it was really cool to see that just change in somebody's life. So I've seen both ends of the port, you know, both sides. And like I said, you know, I could say what all I want to somebody. Like I'd say, you know, you should be baptized, this and that. But ultimately it comes down to you and God having a spiritual experience. We call it like the 3 big questions.
Yep.
Whether Jesus Christ is divine, whether Joseph Smith is a prophet, and whether the Book of Mormon is true. And the only way you can really find out those 3 answers is by praying, reading the Book of Mormon, and reading the Bible. And those three things. Oh, and coming to church. That's a big one too.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's just like a CPR, and that's how you can really come to it.
I like that.
Are you done with your?
Yeah.
For now?
Sorry.
Well, I guess my question is more towards Jim. This is a very detailed question. That night that me and Dylan were playing basketball and you and Hawker approached us, I mean, I just see this as from experience, you know, people in my neighborhood, not so well neighborhood in Beloit, there are people, like, I'm just going to use an example, like the Jehovah's Witness people that walk around my neighborhood and knock on the doors and stuff like that. They have the bravery to knock on those doors and kind of the patience to see if somebody will talk to them. What do you have to see in somebody, or what did you see necessarily in me and Dylan that kind of encouraged you and Hawker to approach us that night?
That's a really good question, actually.
Good question.
Yeah. So, I mean, it says to, like I said, our purpose is to invite all to come unto Christ. And so, I mean, you got to give everyone the opportunity. Oftentimes, though, it's harder to do. But, like, that night, when we pulled in, we were actually, funny story, we just stopped by Quick Trip and got some dinner, actually. We were just starting to eat. And then I just had this feeling that we needed to go and talk to you guys. And so I just acted on that, And that's how sometimes it goes, sometimes it doesn't. I mean, we do our best to try and talk with everyone, you know, to give everyone the same kind of opportunity, because not every time are you going to have that kind of a feeling to go and talk to them about it.
Yeah.
And so that's partly why door knocking was a thing for a long time, because, you know, you got to reach everyone somehow.
Yeah. And I mean, it's definitely really brave of you guys to approach us at that time. It was pretty late too. And especially, I mean, me and Dylan have had this conversation multiple times, just because Bond Park here in Janesville is a new place for me. And we've, you know, asked around to many different Janesville residents about Bond Park. And, I mean, surprisingly, they said it's not a...
It's got a questionable reputation.
Yeah, it's got a questionable reputation. So it's definitely, I guess, brave of you guys to approach us in that area, and, you know, and not, how do I say it, judge us, you know, based on, you know, the area.
Okay, no, that's fair, yeah. I feel like I get to a point where it's like, I mean, everybody judges to an extent, but in all reality, none of us are in a place where we should be allowed to judge. And yeah, like you said, that I've definitely heard the same things from a lot of people about, like, oh, that's a questionable area. Why have you been around Bond Park? But you know, being out as a missionary, I've seen just how when people come closer to Jesus Christ, how their life can completely 180. It's crazy. Like, I can't.
That's a really good point. Yeah.
I can't explain it at all, because it's just, I don't know. I can't. There's no words to describe how amazing it is, and so I like going there, because I know that a lot of the times you can come across people that are ready to hear that, because they're ready for that change. And then it was just really cool you guys were there that night.
Yeah.
So before I even ask a question, I do want to add a little side note to we were talking about, like, Jehovah's Witnesses knocking or whatever. I think, and this is just like a personal thing I'm throwing out there or whatever, but I feel like that is like the least prejudiced way to go about it, because you don't know who's answering the door. You know, you don't know who's on the other side.
Yeah.
But I guess my question's kind of the opposite of, you know, not opposite, but like kind of drifts off what you said. So not only when you come up to people, but like I guess just in general throughout like school or, you know, just being out in public or whatever, but it's for both of you. Have you ever faced adversity or kind of like a hate or dislike due to your religious beliefs?
I mean, yeah, I've definitely experienced a lot of that. Yeah, some of the time, a lot of times it's just people that don't understand or don't know, and they say stuff, but it's fine. You know, you get to a point where you just don't care, because you're like, well, one day they'll be able to learn more and understand more, hopefully.
Yeah.
And so, especially just like sometimes when we got talk to people on the street, like what we did with you guys when we walked up and just started chatting with you, we've come across some people that are like, I can't even remember what religion they were, but they just told us, like, if you ain't part of our religion, we ain't talking to you, so get lost, stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I can't lie. When you guys first approached us, I know you were the more enthusiastic one. Hawker was the more like reserved one, and I remember talking to Dylan on the way back home. I was like, you know, Hawker kind of scares me. Like, you know, I felt a little scared of Hawker.
I don't even remember that.
Yeah, we were on the way back home, and I was like, I don't know. And then I think it was that first Saturday that we came and played basketball, and you know, you just get to learn like about people in different settings, and I think us playing basketball is a really good resource for you guys also to kind of connect with people and us too.
It was a great opening introduction for sure. I had one shoe off. I was like, I could take the other one off. I could just put the other one back on. You know, we'll run one more, and it's just you know.
We're rocking it in shirts and ties.
Yeah. That was what I was gonna say. Is my first impression is, I had a feeling like it was like, you know, I couldn't tell you that you guys are walking up with the Book of Mormon or nothing, but, you know, I had a feeling. I think my first assumption was, like, kind of Jehovah's Witness, just because that's what, you know, we're used to, especially not so much since I've moved here, actually, but, like, when I was down in Beloit, now that I ain't there no more, I can say it, Vine Street, you know, I'd have people probably twice a month, you know, knock on my door, and it was usually Jehovah's Witness. So, you know, I had, like, a feeling it was some sort of, you know, religion something, but I was like, if you're going to give us the time of day to shoot hoops, and yeah, of course, you know, you guys talked for like 3 minutes, you know, something real basic, gave us a little introduction to the book, you and Hawker. Gotta get Hawker on here through the phone or something sometime.
For sure.
Who had asked the last question? Do you remember?
I just asked a question.
Okay. Actually, did we give Bosch a chance to talk about adversity?
No.
Let's go ahead and do that.
Okay, sorry, no worries. Yeah, I've had a good amount of adversity on my mission. I served in downtown Madison.
Oh,
and-
very diverse area.
Yeah, very diverse area, and I actually learned this after I moved out of Madison, but it does have like the anti-religion like headquarters there.
Mm-hmm.
So I experienced a lot of adversity there. There was a couple times where my shoes were spit on.
Wow.
I was like, that, at least the guy could have shined it, like, but I can't complain too much. But yeah, like Jim said, Elder Jimmy, you get used to it. Like, people hate on me. I've had people tell me they were going to shoot me. I've had people tell me to just, get off their property. And
I'm telling you, dogs are the scariest thing. If someone threatens to release their dog, that's when I'm hightailing it.
No,
That's true.
it's have a good day from there.
Yeah.
God bless and turn the other direction.
Did you guys face that a lot with when I know you said earlier that you guys used to do door knocking?
we haven't done much door knocking on our missions.
Door knocking was more of something that missionaries did a lot before COVID times.
Oh, okay.
And then once COVID happened, people were like, hey, don't come to my door. So we stopped that a little more. But yeah, a lot of times, like, I know a missionary, he knocked the door one time, and the guy literally opened the door, punched him in the head, and pushed him down the stairs and closed the door. Like,
Wow.
so yeah, you can experience a lot of crazy stuff, but it gets to a point where after it happens, you smile, you stand up, you move to the next door because now you got a funny story to tell someone.
Yeah, I have so many experiences. So my dad, he actually served a mission too, and he served in Russia. And he talks about like times where he would have people chase him around with broken vodka bottles, knives, and so it's just how it is.
That's crazy.
So yeah.
Oh my God. You guys' safety was always at risk.
It is, but we love it.
Oh yeah, wouldn't trade anything I've experienced on my mission for anything in the world.
It's true.
Oh wow. You want to ask a question or you want me?
Yeah, I will go ahead. So, I know we talked a little bit specifically Bosch when we brought up, obviously no names, but the person and her 2 children that you were able to baptize and help out. But I guess in general, just to like your average Joe or just maybe even like just someone listening to the podcast, what's a message, it's for both of you, what's a message that you guys would put out to describe any sort of like beneficial like effects to like someone who's curious about your religion, as far as like, you guys have talked about it being therapeutic for you guys, but like when I say beneficial, I don't mean so much like taking advantage, but like just what it does for you guys. Like, what is something you would say that it really does for you guys, since you guys have been real passionate about the mission?
Like something that like other people get when they come?
Yeah, so like if you were introducing it to somebody, or like just like your average Joe, you've talked talked about it to us, but like just someone who has, we know very minimal, but we've heard a few stories now, and this podcast is helping a lot, but like someone who knows absolutely nothing about anything we've talked about, how would you introduce it?
How would I introduce it? That's a really good question, actually. I always like to start off with just trying to remind people and explain just how much God loves them, actually. Because a lot of times, a lot of people don't realize, but we used to live with God before this life. And he loves us so much, and the reason he sent us down here is just so that we can learn more about right and wrong and have opposition and have opportunities to grow. And so, I like to talk about stuff like that a little bit when I talk to people that, like you said, don't know a ton, because a lot of times when you explain that to them, it explains why one of the biggest questions people have in the world is, why do good things happen?
Yeah.
Or why do bad things happen to good people?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mixed that up. Some people also question why good things happen to bad people. So
Yeah.
it all comes down to that agency that God gave us. And so I think I love it because it also explains a lot of those questions that a lot of people have, that a lot of people just don't know how to answer.
Yeah, I also think that it comes down to like the fact, going off of what Elder Miller said, is I don't just think about you know, like, I like to meet people where they're at. A lot of people have a lot of problems. I deal with severe anxiety. There's people who out there who deal with severe anxiety, severe depression, and something like I take medicine for it, so I'm not an advocate for not taking medicine. I want to clarify that.
Yeah.
But something I've realized is when I've been more active in the church and been more participating in the church, my anxiety's gone down. Even with just like being a missionary is very stressful. You know, we're gone away from home for 2 years. We're not doing anything, but it's gone down because I know that Jesus Christ is my Savior and my Redeemer, and I have a loving Heavenly Father, and everybody around me is my brother and sister, and I can, you know, rely on, you know, Elder Miller and the people around me who are there for me and uplifting me.
Yeah, sorry, real fast, one more thought to throw onto that. And like going off what Elder Bosch just said, there's a talk called Like a Broken Vessel by Jeffrey R. Holland. And like that talk can also explain more on what Elder Bosch was saying, and like can really explain like some of the blessings that can come that could help that. As you guys said, the average Joe, the guy that doesn't know much, as he comes closer to Jesus Christ. Of course, nothing happens instantly, like we all wish it did.
True.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I think we didn't really expect that from them when we first met them. You know, and I'm gonna say this, and then it leads into my question. I've had way too many experiences with the Jehovah's Witness, and I thought that's what, you know, kind of that pressure and that kind of that how do I say it? How you guys thought I thought you guys thought the same way they did. So like getting to know you guys and kind of getting having that time to spend with you guys to see like who you guys really are and what you guys actually preach. It's I think it's more relieving than anything. But I guess my next question is I guess seeing how Jehovah's Witness works or how they think, I wouldn't say how would you guys compare to them, but how do you guys think you guys differ from them?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, other than like core doctrines, I'll talk about like kind of the missionary aspect, and then if Elder Miller wants to talk about doctrines, he can talk about that, but whatever he wants to talk about. I think that the difference is like the biggest one now is we're encouraged not to go knock people's doors, because it's kind of nowadays seen as disrespectful, not as much appreciated. But I think the difference for us is we're not really like pushing. Like, I have no say in your eternal progression. I have no say whether you accept the thing or not. And so the biggest thing I've noticed and the biggest thing I've heard talking to other people, and this is just coming from personal experience, is that we differ based off of just how we approach it, right? I don't want you to meet me where I'm at. I want to meet you where you're at, because we're on different levels. We're not on the same playing field. You know, you've had different life experiences than I have. So I want to get to know you, and I hope that I can get to experience your shoes every once in a while. I know that I'll never experience everything you felt, but I want to experience what you felt, because I want to understand you as a person, not as a statistic or a number. And I'm not saying that Jehovah's Witnesses do that, but that's just kind of the thing I've heard and noticed a lot, is like you said, you felt pressured, and a lot of people have talked to me about that.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest, I don't know a ton about the Jehovah's Witnesses. I've only seen their missionaries maybe 3 times my entire life, and it's just been quick brush by since I've been a missionary too. But one thing that we do a lot, and we love to really explain and come at it with an aspect of love to really show people that we care. And so, and doctrine wise, once again, I don't know a ton about their doctrine and stuff, so I can't give you a ton on that one. But
I think that's what I respect most about you guys from the get-go. And we talked a lot about this right after we met you guys. We were like, what if they pressure us? What if they, what if they, try to like force us to, read the book and stuff like that, which is what I think that's why we felt that, because we both have had those experiences where like there's other people that have forced us to or pressured us to try and read something, and it was the complete opposite once we showed up. And like I said, I think the basketball aspect of this has really helped in our connections between the four of us.
Hugo had 2 strong weeks of paranoia.
Yeah.
I remember it was the first time we hooped. It's like everything went good. The second time we went was the first time I believe we did any sort of like prayer or discussion, and he was like, "Oh, I don't want to feel like pressure to do nothing." But I could say, and I think I pretty much speak for both of us. I know you said it, but I've never felt no type of pressure to act any kind of different or like feel as though I have to follow. And it's like we get along, we learn something new. And one thing I said to Hugo and Enrique, his brother, was I really, even if I don't understand like the faith as far as like I don't know everything, like I know you guys are saying stuff like straight like quote unquote type thing, because I've heard the same thing like 3 different times. I'm like, okay, that is like straight from the book type thing. But the one thing is like I really do enjoy like the prayer at the end regardless. Like that's one thing I can say I genuinely enjoy, because we were talking about it the other day. I think Enrique was involved in the conversation too. I think we were in like a group chat and we were saying like because you guys are like missionaries and it's like your religious beliefs and your faith, it's like when you like make the prayers and you pray for like the time we had, our safety and like our well-being outside of the court, as far as getting home safe, I think it adds this special element because it's like it's genuine, because you're so strong on your beliefs and you're genuinely saying this in prayer. And I think that was something we appreciated much more too. I was really happy when we introduced the prayers, honestly.
Yeah, I mean it's really heartwarming to know that you guys
that's the word.
don't take the time that you guys spend with us for granted, and I think that's what's special to me. But
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, that means a lot.
Yeah, I think any form of religion is healthy, especially when you have that strong of a faith like that. But it's cool to be involved, even if we're in no way, me and Hugo's case, like committed necessarily. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like.
Like I said, I think it's very to their advantage that they have this basketball court and that they play basketball, because it's one of their biggest, I guess, like you could say, weapons to build that connection with us and with other people too, to kind of like not necessarily like believe in what they're doing, but like I guess like get to know them, get to know each individual.
Yeah,
that
you
comes.
can make connections
You guys see
outside
that
of.
we're also human too.
Yeah. You can make connections outside of like your own personal religion. Yeah. I was jotting notes for questions. I initially had like kind of like a speed round thing in mind, like where I went through like myths and truths or whatever, and I was gonna ask like some simple yes or no, true or false, and I never really I got like 3, and 2 of the 3 are like I think I already know the answer. So I'm gonna ask one on here just as an individual question that you can get into a little bit. But as far as your religious beliefs, are you allowed to date or marry outside of your own religious belief?
Yes. I know a lot of people that do. Obviously, like, I would like to marry within my belief, but obviously, if God has a different plan, God has a different plan.
Yeah.
But the simple answer is yes. Do you have anything to add?
Nah, well spoken. Yeah, we can date whoever we'd like.
I want to pick up on one thing you said at the very end. So, is that how, the Church of Jesus Christ like sees that, or is that your belief as far as the, if this is the way that like God sees it, or is that like kind of like, are you taught this kind of thing, or as far as like if it's you marry outside, then that's what God had in store and whatnot, or are you kind of encouraged to date in, or how does that?
We're not. I mean, sometimes you can feel a little encouraged to date within, because of course, like within the church, they have activities to help, like, young, we call them young single adults, that 20-year-old to like 30-year-old, and we have like activities so they can meet other people, guys can meet girls, etc.
with that purpose
with
of like
that purpose of like
romantic
maybe
interest,
romantic
yeah.
eventually. And so, but yeah, we're not like told like you have to marry within the religion or anything. We can date outside anytime.
Yeah, we're told to, obviously pray and ask God, because that's going to be your biggest. He's supposed to guide you to where you're supposed to go, right?
Yeah.
And I think, we have kind of a cool belief. I mean, we don't really believe that God is just set directly only one person for you. Believe that God will make it work with whoever you choose, because he gives us agency. And so if you find somebody that you really truly love, right, God's not going to be like, oh, you can't marry them because they're not of this specific religion, or they're not they're not members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. He's going to give you an opportunity to marry that person and make it work out whether or not they're a member.
Ooh, I'm so sorry. Can I branch off into one more little question? It's something about like when Bosch gets in there. I have like these follow-ups, and I want you both to
I think he
answer.
describes
but
it really well.
It's these little things I'm picking up. So like, I don't know if you guys even like truly have an, I don't know your guys' romantic histories dating back or whatever, but like, so you talked about like God would make it work, circumstantially, regardless, it'll work out for the person you choose. Have either of you had, and if you have, explain, but have you had an instance of maybe where you believe that almost to too much of an extent to where it got you hurt in the end romantically, or kind of, have you guys had that where you tried to make it work for too long and it got to this like toxic point?
I don't think. Well, I guess I kind of did, but it was more, not less of like trying to make it work. It was puppy love, I would say, but
Yeah.
I definitely did. I was like, I can make this work out. God consecrates trials and stuff. But she was kind of very, very, very toxic. But no hate on her. I respect her and she's awesome. But yeah, I've had experiences like that where I've conflated with, something not being right and saying, oh, God will just make it all right.
And that is where it came from, is like from a religious standpoint, not just like a personal.
It came from both, I'll
be
honest.
Yeah, okay. Then.
Yeah, I mean, everybody experiences heartbreak.
Yes. Yes.
So I think that's about as much as I can say. I mean, of course, there's times where I want stuff to work out, and it's not even a religion standpoint. It's like dang, this girl's amazing, and then all of a sudden it doesn't work out.
Well, that is interesting, because I was wondering if it was like always the religion that kind of played in, or if it was just sometimes, you did what was best for you right that second, thought about it later type thing, It was...
I guess my next question is gonna bring us to not necessarily a different topic, but a longer discussion. I know you guys covered in the beginning that you guys that missionaries travel all around the world and also all around the U.S. If I'm not mistaken, you guys have no source of income when you guys are here. How necessarily is what does a day in the life of Bosch and Jim look like?
That is an amazing question.
All right.
So, yeah, we don't have any income, but it starts off with we wake up at 6:30, and we'll try to work out, and we try to
emphasis on try.
Right, we try.
Is a better word some days.
Yeah, pretend. But we roll out of bed at 6:30. We get up. We usually eat breakfast and then, get ready for the day. We put on our white shirts, our ties, our dress pants, and our black tags that say mine says Elder Bosch, and then it says the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And then at 9 o'clock, we start our day.
Yeah. And once the day begins, everything we do, we try to do it with prayer, with a thoughtful feeling, as we go about our day. And we do our best to try and help other people just learn about Jesus Christ. And we try to come up with ways that we can meet new people to help invite them, so everybody has that opportunity like we talked about a little bit earlier. And then one thing we do is we also take an hour out of our day every single day that we study it for ourselves, and we truly go into the Lord in prayer for ourselves to learn more about Him, so that we can deepen our conversion to Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then from 9, then we end our day at 9 o'clock, and we then after that it's kind of free time to study, get ready for bed, and then we go to bed at 10:30.
Okay.
Yeah.
And to kind of continue on or branch on from my question, I know Jim kind of told us a couple weeks ago that what is it, like 6 weeks that you got, that kind of like that time period?
Yeah, so every single 6 weeks, I don't even know if I English anymore. Every 6 weeks, that we have a call with someone called a mission president, and they kind of like are in charge of the missionaries here in Wisconsin, at least the one that we're under. And he's pretty much there to make sure we're doing all right and stuff. And he assigns us to maybe new spots in Wisconsin since that's our mission. And we get on that call and he lets us know where we're going or if we're staying.
What does that look like?
So what it looks like is we do one big Zoom call because the mission's so big that it would take hours upon hours to get everyone into one place. And so yeah, we sit there and he calls names. He usually starts works his way down the state and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll call names and be like, hey, so-and-so, you're going to go serve in Marquette, Michigan, or so-and-so, you're going to go serve in Green Bay.
Mm-hmm.
So
like, for example, like I'm going to bring up Hawker again. You said that he got moved to West Allis. What did the process look like I don't know if you saw the process, but what is the process look like for person A to move, for example, right now from Janesville to West Allis?
So what that looks like is I actually lived in Lake Mills and Fond du Lac and now Janesville. So what it is, it's like you're sitting there on the call and they'd be like, Janesville, Elder so-and-so is being moved to, in Hawker's case, West Allis. And then they ask if we accept, and we accept. And then we get the next day to go around and say goodbye to people and stuff that we can. And then also pack. And then after we pack up all of our stuff, we got everything for 2 years of living in 2 suitcases.
Yeah.
And then we throw it in the back of a car, go up to a church where we meet with other missionaries, hop in another car and get dropped off in our new area where we unpack and we'll be there for a couple months.
How do you guys, with the lack of better words, how do you guys survive with no income?
Yeah, so we kind of pay to be out here, so we pay like $400, but we also get like a stipend we get $160 each per month. So we have a stipend of $320 a month.
Mm.
I know a lot of people are like, oh, that's not a lot, but we make it work. But that it comes all from something we call tithing and fast offering. So tithing is 10% of increase from money. So we all pay it. So back home, when I had an income, I would make say like $100, and this is not exactly the amount, but then I would pay 10% of that to the Lord, which is $10. And then there's this thing called we fast every month for 2 meals, and so we don't eat any food or drink any water for 2 meals, and what we would have spent on that we donate to the church to help out the poor and the needy and missionaries. And so that's kind of where it comes from.
Oh, I do gotta say though, with this tithing thing, now that it's been explained a little bit, when you pay tithing, I can't even explain the blessings that you see from that. Tithing, one person described as the fastest way to get an immediate blessing. Now that's not always the case, but tithing blesses so many people. I just wanted to bring that up since tithing was brought up.
Yeah, a really favorite quote from my dad is he says, God can do with the 90% you keep, or more with the 90% you keep than you could ever do with the 100% of your increase. And I've seen that true. Just a quick story on that. My dad, one time he was going to buy me a football helmet because I was getting a lot of headaches. I played football back home, and he wanted to buy me a helmet, and he was just walking into the store, and my dad had lost his job, but he was still working hard. He was working with my uncle, and he actually just randomly found $100 on the sidewalk, went and he took it in, and he was like, hey, and my dad's never not paid tithing, And I definitely know that experience where he found that $100 and he was able to buy me a football helmet, keep my head protected, was because he paid tithing. He never missed a day of tithing. So
Yeah. One more really
Wow.
fast story. You guys okay with that?
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah.
Alright. This story's hecka cool because it's happened to a couple people and stuff. Not saying that this will happen every time. So someone, of course no names, they're sitting there and they're doing their bills as they were explaining to me, and they looked at it and they go, well shoot, we don't have enough to pay our tithing and pay our bills at the same time. So with lots of prayer, lots of thought, lots of really trying to understand and determine, they paid their tithing, and they were worried about it, but they paid it with a smile on their face and a skip in their step, and believe it or not, all of a sudden, just randomly in the mail, an extra couple $100 showed up to pay off the rest of their bills and stuff. So
From like somebody random?
what?
Like they got that money like just randomly?
They just showed up. They showed up in their mail. It showed up at their doorstep. There's another story of a guy that wanted to serve a mission, and like other Bosch, they had to pay a little bit, and they were struggling on money really bad, but they paid their tithing every single time. Some dude showed up, knocked on their door, and goes, "Hey, I heard your son wanted to serve a mission. Here's all the money you need so you can go serve." No, like I said, that's not how all the blessings happen.
Yeah.
But that's just really how cool and how
Those
awesome
are
the Lord will bless you.
Defining moments though in someone's
Yeah.
religious path.
I mean,
Like,
yeah.
That's a blessing. If I've ever heard one to have money show up like that
I guess
in a time of need.
I'll kind of end off my questions with this kind of like, cherry topper. We discussed that how you guys maintain yourselves here or in anywhere you guys are across Wisconsin. You guys are young. You guys are in our age range. With today's economy, I know Bosch said that we make it work. Has there ever been a time or a moment, not necessarily here in Janesville, but in other parts of where you guys would be missionaries, that you guys had to stretch thin?
yeah.
Ramen, baby.
Yeah, there
Ramen.
was a time in Madison. It was right when inflation just hit its peak, and I had just moved to Madison, and the first week I was there, we bought Honeycrisp apples, and they were $4 per pound. Then the next week we went there, and they were $7 per pound, and it was crazy. I could not believe it because I wasn't was seeing this with my own eyes, and then for a week we didn't. So we usually get paid the 1st and the 15th, but sometimes there's an extra week in between those pay periods, and so there was an extra week in the pay period, and we did not have enough money. So I ate just mac and cheese and hot dogs every single day just to make it work. It was actually, the crazy thing is it sounds disgusting doing it every single day, but the Lord definitely blessed me because I loved it, but I'm not a big, mac and cheese hot dog guy.
Together?
Yeah.
Okay. I had to make sure that made me think of my grandma cutting the hot dogs, throwing them in the mac
Yeah.
and cheese. I had done that for a while too. I used to love ketchup in my mac and cheese too. Now I will never do it again.
Yeah.
Ketchup's amazing. What are you talking about?
Oh, I love ketchup, like hot dogs
Ah,
and
that's
brats
good, that's
on
good.
buns, ketchup, mustard, relish. I love it all, but in mac and cheese, cannot do it. I've seen people
That's
do
fair.
it in eggs. Cannot do it.
It's alright in egg.
Cannot do it.
But yeah, it's kind of crazy, you're like, but it worked out. I like I said, I never complained about it because I don't know what it was. It just always tasted good.
Yeah, I mean, I think my purpose of asking that question is because nowadays, with our youth and with our generation, a lot of people straight out of high school or in high school are either pressured or directed by their parents or by teachers to go to college, and I guess made believe that's the only path to success. And I mean, I'm assuming you guys didn't go to college, right?
Nope.
Not yet.
Not yet. I like that answer.
Yeah.
I just want people or young people that are listening, because I know we got a lot of young viewers, that the different paths outside of college, not just, you know, working a 9 to 5. Also, this one, being a missionary, can also be difficult, but you guys are really making it sound like worth it and kind of life changing.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, to anybody who's listening, right? Life is not easy. You know, you have to pray. You have to find guidance through God, and I think what Hugo says is exactly true. You don't have to just go to college. If it's right for you, then take that chance, take that right. But if it's not right for you, then don't worry about it. You know, do what God would want you to do.
Yeah, and if you're worried about it, please feel free to reach out for the fact that we actually have courses to help people understand, like, how to budget is one of them. There's, like, multiple different courses. I can't remember what
Starting
all of
a
them are.
business.
They're starting a business, how to budget, how to find strength in Christ, emotional resilience, and etc.
I might need that how to budget.
They're
Okay,
really
you
good
look-
courses too. And so, yeah, always feel free, like anytime, because they'll help anyone at any time. Member, not member. They're amazing classes.
So I think I have like 2 more questions.
2 more
and
questions. I'll give a last statement because I have something pretty bold to say at the end. At the end.
At the very end?
Yeah.
All right. First of the 2 questions, do you guys have any kind of links, any sort of info you would like in the description of the podcast for people to reach you, or whether it be like an email, a website, stuff to check out? If there's anything at all, we can like discuss it afterwards and we can add it to the description. You guys got the number if there's links you want to send.
Yeah, we'll send over the links and stuff. But for anybody who's listening and maybe doesn't check the links because they're lazy,
Been guilty of that.
yeah, you can give us a look up at comeunderchrist.org.
And we'll even just link that too. And
Yeah.
even with it being said, we'll link that too for
Yeah.
those who do check it out.
That's kind of like a place you can, find out. And if you want to talk with other Miller and I, we actually have a phone number that you can reach us at.
I got it right here. So our phone number is 608-359-2601. I can run through that one more time just in case. 608-359-2601.
Yep, and we're also on Facebook too. You can just look up the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints on Facebook. You can look up Braxton Bosch on Facebook,
Or you can look up Jim Miller. There's a
and-
lot of Jim Millers though, but you'll know it when you see it.
Yeah, just go to My Mutual Friends and you'll find him.
Important piece to add, no unnecessary spam to those, because those do hold personal info at the same time. But,
Yeah.
for people genuinely interested, yes, check all that out. And then my final question before your, quote, cherry on top. Basketball predictions tonight. Who's going off in our games tonight?
Ooh,
Oh dang!
I say I'm dropping 3 threes the first game.
I'm finally
Like
gonna
that.
get the ball to pass through my legs without missing the dribble. It's gonna be a W moment.
One of you guys has to make a half court shot.
Okay.
Yeah, nah, that's ain't
I'm-
gonna be me. I can't make a.
I'm
Free
predicting 2 to 3 air balls from Javon over there. I didn't hear it. Okay, never mind. Enrique's hitting 5 threes.
I'll make one layup.
I'll make one half court for Hugo.
Hugo's hitting a full court, eyes closed, one-handed.
Backwards.
Yes.
I'm
while
good.
doing
I'm
a
good
front
at game
flip.
winners. I'm good at game winners. So I guess I'll end the podcast with this statement. I never really discussed this with you guys because I think I don't really like to really like pull kind of this into our basketball sessions or necessarily just what we're doing, but I just would like to add this at the end. A little bit before that, we met Jim and
Hawker.
I am still recovering from spine surgery, and I actually had a couple friends leave me behind. They enjoyed the life of drinking alcohol, going to the beach, smoking and stuff like that. And I obviously can't do that because I had a pulmonary embolism. I am on blood thinners, and if you know anything about that, you can't drink, you can't smoke.
Absolutely not.
And-
Especially drink.
Yeah.
That's like horrible.
in the past months, I did reconnect with Dylan. I think that's how we have built our friendship so strong. And fortunately, what was it, I think it was our first time playing at Bond, you and I, that night, right? Or second.
Ooh, it was no more than second. It was first or second, yeah. I
And
couldn't tell you
out
if
of
it was the
nowhere,
exact first.
I'm not going to say it's a sign of Jesus, but just out of precaution that other people that are listening don't believe in Jesus. But I personally think that it was a sign or a gift from Jesus that you guys approached us and gave us that gift to come and welcomed us to your church. And we play every Saturday morning.
And now some Tuesdays
Yeah.
as of this being filmed.
And I mean, I just want to say thank you to Jim, to Bosch, and to hopefully Hawker's listening to this. Hopefully.
we gotta get him a
We'll
link.
send it to you.
Yes,
We'll get it
yes.
to you,
Yeah. A really big thank you. And it doesn't sound that bad of a tragedy because I'm not doing drugs or I'm not
Yeah.
recovering from something like
Yeah.
that tragic, but I think it's a gift from God
don't
of hope.
play it either, though.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm
Yeah,
just saying,
no, you went through some.
it's
you went
a
through some
gift.
stuff,
It's
man.
a gift from God, and I'm really thankful that you guys approached us and giving us an opportunity to have fun and how do I say it? See the actual purpose of life. So yeah.
You're
Yeah.
welcome.
It's been a pleasure getting to know you guys. It's been awesome. And I think one thing that we'd like to close with is always remember, God works in mysterious ways. God knows you. God loves you. And he won't ever let you down. Don't be afraid to reach out to missionaries. Don't be afraid to get on your knees and say a prayer, to ask him for help, to ask him to feel that love. If you're struggling with anything, Jesus Christ and God know exactly what you're going through and just how to help you.
Yeah, and thank you, Hugo, for saying that because that really means a lot to us. I truly know that God, leads us to people, and I'm so grateful that I've gotten to know Hugo, Dylan, Enrique, Latasia, and Javon because they're fun to be around. They're people that I can have a good time with, and I know that God has brought me to y'all, and I'm grateful for the wonderful blessing it is, and God bless y'all, and thanks for having us on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you so
Thank-
much.
thank
And
you,
amen
guys.
to that.
Oh yeah, amen.
Yes.
This has been another episode of the 608 Chatterbox. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you on the next one.
Woohoo!